Hello friends. I have been thinking about this subject for a long time. I want to talk about something that really makes me feel devastated. This year, I spent several months in China. After I came back to Poland, I felt that my understanding about the world has been totally overturned. Before, I always thought that China is such a cheap place that we can buy a lot of things for very little money. Spending money in China gives us a lot of pleasure. But after coming back to Poland, I realized that this is not true. I didn't experience this joy of spending money when I was in China. Instead, against my expectation, I have it in Poland. It's unfair. Maybe China is not as good as Europe in many other aspects. But for this subject, the cost of living in China should be much lower than any country in Europe. I want to figure out why and how this happened. Why do I have such a tremendous feeling and thought? So I made a list to compare the most common products that we frequently buy in everyday life in Poland and in China. We let data speak today. And in the end, we will try to draw some conclusions. I know that some people will get bored with data, numbers, but after watching this video, you will know how do I feel to live in two places at the same time. So since my happiness is largely determined by the satisfaction of my stomach, let's first take a look at the price of food. Now you are looking at the price of several basic products: rice, flour, oil. And naturally, when I first saw these numbers, I was so shocked because the price of these products are more expensive in China than in Poland. Especially the price of rice. Chinese people eat rice every day, and we plant rice in every possible places. So I always thought that even though we buy the highest quality rice in China, it is still cheaper than any shitty rice in Poland. But the reality is different. And take a look at the price of oil. In China, per liter costs 1.79, but in Poland only 98 cents. This is a huge difference. I cannot stop asking myself, am I living in China? Why do I feel like I'm paying the price in Switzerland? The price of vegetables and fruits supports my feeling that things are cheaper in China. Carrots, tomatoes, onions are cheaper, especially tomatoes. In Poland, there are so many kinds of different tomatoes. Small one, big one, yellow one, red one, green one, with different shapes. So it's very pleasant to do shopping in Poland. Actually, my husband has been in China and he has very interesting discovery. He said that carrots and tomatoes in China are not as tasty as the Polish ones. I didn't notice this before he mentioned about it. And later I started to pay attention, and do you know what? I reached the same conclusion as him. I found that especially carrot in China have no taste. And take a look, actually the price of potatoes in both countries are the same. It means that in Poland, potatoes are so cheap. Poland produces a lot of potatoes and Polish people consume a lot of potatoes. I guess that's why potatoes are very cheap. Can you believe it? The Chinese apple is actually more expensive than the Polish apple. I didn't expect Polish apple to be so cheap, really. The price of meat influenced my impression the most. It is because I noticed in China the price of meat is so expensive that I felt so unhappy living in China. Take a look. You can buy 1 kilo pork for 4.12 in China, but you only have to pay 2.45 in Poland. It is very unfair. It's the price difference incredible. So in China, actually, we eat less meat but more vegetables. Price of chicken is similar in both countries, but the thing is that in China, we very often buy meat in supermarket, but in supermarket in China, you cannot find fresh chicken. There are only frozen one. Now let's take a look at the price of milk products. China is not a country which consume a lot of milk, so we can expect that the price of milk products should be more expensive in China than in Poland. And this is true. Per liter milk costs $2 in China, but in Poland only 46 cents. Oh my god, so cheap. That's why I drink a lot of milk in Poland, and I also drink a lot of yogurt. Yogurt is also half the price in Poland than in China. And I'm so used to milk and yogurt that when I go to China, I even have problem of finding a good breakfast. I don't know what to eat in China. And not to even mention the price of cheese. In China, there is no real cheese. There are some snack cheese for children, but if you want to buy a real cheese, you can only buy the cheese imported from another country. Once I found just the basic Gouda cheese online for the price of 15 per kilogram. But in Poland, you only pay $4.89. And I tell you what, the milk is not cheap in China, but the milk tastes like water. I don't even know really is it a pure milk or it's mixed with water and milk. My husband wants me to talk about the price of coffee and beer because he likes them. Each time we go to China, we have to bring a lot of coffee. And actually, last time when I was in China, I found a good enough coffee that he is satisfied. The price is quite similar to the price of a good enough coffee in Poland. So in the end, we are very happy of this result. Next time when we go to China, we don't have to transport so many coffee. In China, people drink more and more coffee nowadays. Usually, people will drink instant coffee, or sometimes they will buy coffee in the street shop like Starbucks and Chinese Starbucks, which costs much cheaper than real Starbucks. And the price of beer, per half liter in China we pay 69 cents, which is a comparable price. But the real price of beer in China is more expensive. Why do I say so? Because the Chinese beer contains only 3% alcohol, but the Polish beer contains 5% alcohol. Dessert is not a Chinese thing. Chinese people don't eat that often dessert. We cannot find really cheap cakes and chocolate products. And this is the price I found in a bakery. A piece of tiramisu costs $45.80 per kilogram. But if you pay $6.12 per kilo, you can already buy a good piece of cake in Poland. And in Poland, there are so many different kinds of cakes. I really love it. And in China, there are no normal bread. We have toast, and sometimes the toast are sweet. That's weird. Bread is a Western thing, so it can be expensive in China because we really don't buy it very often. Now, the price of restaurant. I think everybody know that eating in a restaurant is much cheaper in China than in everywhere in the world. Let's take a look at the price. So if you want to order just a basic portion of noodle in China in the street restaurant, you pay only $2.75 one portion for one person. And you eat in a street restaurant in Poland like Milk Bar Kebab. Milk Bar per person costs $6.12 in general for a basic portion. And kebab, $4.50 at least. Milk Bar, I really like Milk Bar because they have very big portion, a solid piece of meat and a lot of salad and side dish, potato or rice, something. Yeah, so I think it's worth the money. But if you will go to a real restaurant to order dishes, then definitely much cheaper in China. per person. If we pay $6.88, we already can have very good meal shared with other people, so you can try different dishes. But in Poland, per person you pay $12.24 per person, and you can only eat your dish in front of you. So yeah, eating in the restaurant in China has a lot of fun. It is already a lot of data. I hope that you are not bored yet, because we still have some price to compare. Now, the price of transport. Let's take Nanjing and Warsaw as an example. In Nanjing, one-time metro ticket costs between 28 cents to 138. For example, me, each time I go to the city center, I pay more than 83 cents. It's not cheap. If you will go to work in a center city by metro, then every day and every month you will pay a lot of money. But in Poland, you can buy some discounted tickets like a weekly ticket, daily ticket, monthly ticket, and tickets with some promotion. But in China, there's no discount ticket. But in China, traveling by bus is very, very cheap, super cheap. One-time ticket costs only 28 cents. In Warsaw, still $1.08. So if you go to China, I recommend you to take a bus everywhere you want to go. If you drive by your own car, then we can compare the price of gasoline. Per liter gasoline, we pay $1.08 in China, but $1.52 in Poland. This is not good because we drive every day in Poland, so we don't like the fact that fuel is more expensive, so expensive. The price of water and electricity is the best thing that can happen to you living in China, because they are so cheap, so cheap. You will be shocked when you see these numbers. Cold water per cubic meter costs only 47 cents in China, but in Poland, $2.94. That is difference between heaven and hell. And electricity, I don't have the unit price for electricity, so I give the price per month, how much we pay per month for 2 people. In China, we pay $7.56 per month, but in Poland, $19.58. Oh my god, so expensive. How do I survive this? Okay, water, electricity are very cheap. How about apartment? According to my understanding, it is still cheaper to rent apartment in China. In Nanjing, a few years ago, I rented an apartment of 26 square meter. I paid $357.59 per month. And in Shanghai, my friend rented some quite small studio of 45 square meter, cost actually more than $688. Shanghai, Nanjing is a big city, especially Shanghai. If you want to live in the city center, it's super expensive. I guess it's the same case like in Warsaw and in Krakow. But in smaller city like in Kunming, an apartment of 90 square meter costs only $275 per month, the rent. In Poland, I don't have very useful data for you. You have to compare with your own data. But 1 year ago, when we live in Wadowice, in apartment of 46 square meter, we paid $489.45 per month. This is not very usable data for you because the price of apartment in Poland should be much more expensive. We had luck, so we find a very cheap apartment, but we have different kind of other problem in that apartment. Yeah, you can leave in the comment how much you pay for the rent of apartment in the place where you live. So these are all the numbers I want to compare for now. I think it's very enjoyable to live in Poland because there are frequently many discounts in the supermarket and we can buy a lot of things with cheap price. Although I don't totally dislike living in China, but I admit that shopping in Poland is much more pleasant. I enjoyed more. In Poland, with the same amount of money, we can buy more satisfying products. We can buy more things we want, we like, and we need. There are more options, and the products have better quality. We don't have to worry about food safety problem. So in Poland, it is more cost effective. In China, they don't even care to mark, or they on purpose don't mark the unit price. Very often, I already paid for it, but after a long time, I realized that I paid too much for a product which is not worth it. So this is today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and I believe that you have many things to say about this subject. I invite you to leave your comments, and I will be very happy to read them. In the end, please subscribe, give us a like, and see you next time. Bye bye.